Hello. Hi, learners. Welcome. I feel slightly uncomfortable because what's up with me? Actually, I know what's up. Hi, learners. This is Coach Chanel, and welcome to another Monday Night Live. And I was a bit late with this one because I didn't even post it before. I think I posted it just before. And here I am just trying to fix my hair on it. And I'm a bit earlier today, amen. I'm so grateful I was able to start a bit earlier today. And what we're going to do in this particular episode, in episode 3 of our Monday Night Live, is actually a topic I did not plan to do tonight. That topic, I'll let you know at the end. I'm going to do that topic next week. All right, next week, Monday. Next week, Monday, we're probably going to go back to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Um, but today I was able to do it a bit earlier, and that's why I sort of put all my details up quickly and then just had an earlier live. But again, everything sort of just converged, and the best topic won tonight, and that topic is the fact that the CSEC 2026 timetable is out, and we're going to talk about it actually. Now, I actually went over the timetable with one of my students this weekend. And I think she freaked out a little bit. So I do understand that for some students, there's a lot of exam anxiety that's been, I mean, it's always been there, but I think it got much more prevalent maybe after COVID or from that year with COVID, right? Hey, young DK, good night. So it actually got more prevalent. And while it's a reality, I think one, there's very little that's done to tackle it by schools, by organizations, um, ministries of education, CXC. I think there's very little done to tackle it realistically. Um, and two, I do think that if we prepare ourselves and we're mindful of it, we can actually reduce our exam anxiety. All right, because anxiety is not fun. I do know exactly what anxiety feels like, and it would be great if students were given a chance to not feel overwhelmed for the exams, right? You know you're writing it, but at the same time you get overwhelmed. And one of the things that I do believe helps is knowing what's coming for the exam or when your exams are coming, actually. Let me change that. Knowing what's coming for the exam is something totally different. We could get in trouble for that one, right? But knowing when your exam is coming, it does help. I know for some students, this is too much information. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we got a whole extra week. So school did not start this week, school is starting next week. Um, so for some students, I know it's too much, but I am telling you, even if you're not willing to listen to this tonight, and you're willing to listen to this maybe when the school starts and it's a lot more realistic that you're in Form 5 or in your final year, then um, it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial to you and help you deal with the exam. Young DK asks, are you a teacher? Well, I don't teach in a school, but I've actually been tutoring, coaching for the last, this year is going to be 8 years. So I've been doing CSEC English A and Spanish for the last 8 years. I have a degree in Spanish with a minor in linguistics. The linguistics helps me tackle all that English. I'm highly analytical as well, so it also helps me tackle all that English. And I've been doing Cape Comms maybe for 4 years. So all my students tend to do really, really, really well. Squish VR, you really need me to tell you hi. You're very emphatic about that hi. So hi, I'm not always able to respond immediately, but I do look at the comments, all right? So just a bit of patience, right? So yes, for those of you who are writing next year, the timetable is out. If you did not know, CSEC has within the last couple of years been a bit more um I'm trying to be nice about CXC. I'm not a fan of CXC, guys. But in terms of releasing the timetable, I would say that they've been definitely timely. All right. It's nice to know that the term hasn't started and your timetable is out. I don't even know if teachers know that the timetable is this early, but you know, having survived the pandemic and CXC's silence in that era, I think I tend to go onto their website and look for information about the exam. Oh, and by the way, you guys can go on to cxc.org. I think that's your website. And you can access this information. The timetable is there. You do not need to sign in to get the timetable. Literally just Google CXC 2026 May June timetable. That's what I normally do. I just Google everything and get the link. Um, but you can go, you can download it yourself. Um, what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna recap every single subject. I'm gonna give you general information, and I'm gonna focus on my core subjects, which are CSEC English A, CSEC Spanish, and I'm also going to sort of go into English B a bit because I know there are quite a few students who do have to do both subjects, English A and English B. And I'm also going to mention maths because we know maths has been starring for the last couple of years. And I think right now, I honestly did not look at the feedback for this year, but I know maths is something that many institutions and students themselves are mindful about in terms of ensuring they pass that particular subject. Um, so I'm going to look at maths as well and looking at the timing of that exam. So before I just spill the beans, let's just go ahead with it. Again, if you see me looking to the side, I'm actually looking at my device and just looking at the actual timetable. I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking at my other device, right? So exams for May, June will begin, lovely learners, on Monday, 13th April. Yeah, the exam doesn't begin in May, it begins in April. And some of you are like, oh, wow, April, what's in April? Oral exams, all the practicals. So from the 13th of April until from Monday, 13th April until Friday, 1st May, it's going to be orals for Portuguese, French, and Spanish, as well as PE practicals begin, as well as the music practical exam that begins. So there are some exams that happen in April itself. I see visual arts and theater arts, those begin in April. Um, for the modern languages like Spanish, it's not one day. It's not a specific day. It's a range of days. So for example, like Trinidad and Tobago, I think it's like maybe 3 to 4 days, and I think they cover the entire country in 3 to 4 days. So when you get closer to the exam date, you would know when your particular day is. And again, a lot of other factors play into that. If you attend a school where uh, writing a foreign language is mandatory, like one of a student I did some work with during the holidays, a learner, she told me that a foreign language is mandatory in her school, and basically nearly everybody picked Spanish. So her Spanish class is going to be huge. That means for the oral exam, there are going to be a lot of students who need to be assessed, right? So there are all those factors. If you're attending a school and your class is like really small, like less than 10 persons writing the exam, then more than likely your oral examination is going to be done in one day. But if you're going to a school like my student, and in her case, it's, maybe nearly 90% of her entire form is going to be doing Spanish, it's probably going to take 3 to 4 days for the oral exam to be completed. And normally you would know when your date would be. Your teacher would let you know closer to that date. Um, but that would be the reality for anybody who's doing Spanish. Um, it's going to fall within that time period. If you're doing Spanish and French, or anyone who's doing Portuguese, maybe you're in a country where you can do all three languages, then you're going to get the orals done within that time frame. By the way, for those students who are doing foreign languages and have to do the oral exam is going to serve as your paper 3-1, so you do want to give it some attention. Secondly, I do recommend that you don't wait until next year to take it seriously. Start practicing the language skills for that paper from now. All right. And you don't need a past paper to to get it. If you can't get the past paper, it's not a problem. They tend to be a little challenging to get sometimes because they should not be circulating. Um, However, because those particular papers assess your ability to listen in the foreign language as well as your ability to speak in the foreign language as well as your ability to read in the foreign language, I recommend you just look for sources online. Simple reading passages. I often ask my students to read from using the comprehension that's in paper two. So that's actually also a very good source of reading. And you paper twos tend, I believe, even for French, tend to be a bit more manageable, but a lot more accessible, right? So the orals questions, stick to the themes. The themes are the same for all three languages, I do believe, and that's home and family, school and career, home and family, school and career, daily routine, sports and recreation, travel, and shopping. I always have to remember everything. All right. So that would be the beginning of the exam schedule, like I said, from Monday 13th April to Friday 1st May, and it would always begin with a bang for foreign language students, right? And of course, if you're doing PE and music, you guys are part of that April party as well. Um, then the first exams. Okay, so exams do end. Sorry, not exams end. The practical period with orals ends on Friday, 1st of May. There are exams on Monday. You would get English on Tuesday, 5th of May. All right. And they did something this year that it seems they're repeating next year. I'm not exactly fond of this, but I think it's important, especially it's really an important aspect of the timetable that foreign language learners, foreign language speakers, you will have to know. In particular, Spanish. Okay, Spanish. So English A is on the morning of Tuesday, 5th May, and that's going to be a 2 hour, 40-minute long exam. In the afternoon, after that English A paper two, is going to be Spanish paper two. Not sure why they did that, but anyway, so Spanish paper two is in the afternoon, right after the English A paper two exam, and that's 2 hour, 50-minute paper. I'm not sure why they did that. I really am not sure um, why they did that. Um, I don't like the languages being squished together like that. So I would have preferred they did Spanish a different day, but they've decided that this is what they're doing. It happened in 2025. It seems it's going to happen in 2026. I guess I at least will see if they're going to do it again in 2027, right? So that's paper two done already for A, English A and Spanish by the 5th of May. Totally done. You're over it already, right? Maths is going to be a week later. All right. So like I said, guys, there's exams going on between these days, but I'm not going through every single exam. You can get the timetable online at cxc.org. But a week later, Tuesday 12th, is going to be maths paper two in the morning. That's a 2 hour, 40-minute long exam. And again, CXC, they, I don't know, maybe this is your thing. In the afternoon of Tuesday, 12th May, it's going to be English B paper two. So you have maths in the morning and then English literature in the afternoon, same day. All right. And your English lit paper is 2 hours and 10 minutes. I'm not sure why. Maybe they said, hey, you know what? Maths is logic, and to a certain degree, literature is logic because you're going to have to analyze and argue your analysis and present your point of view because literature is analysis, right? That's a logical, practical function. So not a fan of that personally, but that's what they did for the exam. All right, so I'm gonna skip days again, and I'm gonna go all the way to Wednesday, 20th May. And on that day, in the afternoon, is a Spanish paper one exam. It's actually sharing a time slot with Office Admin paper two. But the Spanish paper one is that day, and it's an hour and 15 minute. Spanish paper one is Another paper for foreign language that gets ignored. You will hear me cover some paper ones on my channel. I think the clearest video is 2019. They're all Zoom recordings, guys, during the pandemic. So some of them are not very clear. I apologize, but go listen to the 2019 one, and you can definitely get a feel of what that type of paper is like. I will also mention it's highly repetitive. It's a very repetitive paper. Highly, highly repetitive. It's nearly boring at this point in time for me to go through a Spanish paper one. I actually know some of the answers just by looking at the question. And you will understand what I mean by looking at the question. Because for paper one, there's a student version and there's a teacher version or examiner version. So the examiner version has the questions, and the student version has the options that you want to choose. What would be your response? Highly boring, highly repetitive at this point in time. Maybe I should say it should stay repetitive for you guys. Um, but you could go ahead and listen to my videos and definitely get a feel for that particular paper. It's split into two sections. There's a listening comprehension for the first half, and the second half is reading comp. I actually love the reading comp. My students who is prepping for my learner who's prepping for exams next year, we're going to do the reading comp section um, this month. I think we're going to start it this month. I didn't tell her, so guys, don't tell her anything, right? So after the 20th of May, I'm gonna skip to Tuesday 26th, and that's when the English A, oh yeah, that's when the English A paper one exam is. So you have a fairly healthy break between the paper two, which is on the 5th, and the paper one for English A, which is on the 26th. So again, there are definitely a lot of the popular exams in between. Um, I would always say that for this exam in particular, it's another repetitive exam, slightly less boring than the Spanish paper one, right? What you want to do is just get past papers, and this is a past paper you can start doing from now. Even if you're in Form 1, sorry, not Form 1, even if you're in Form 4 and you're not writing until 2027, this is a paper you could start tackling in stages. If it is you are writing in 2026, maybe you want to try and do one a week. Prep yourselves, guys, prep yourselves, right? Don't wait for mock exams to then get prepped. Prep yourselves from now. Treat the paper like a mock exam. That's how you do mock exams properly. Um, if you didn't realize, I'm not a fan of school mock exams, actually. I'm not a fan of the timing. I think your mock exam is anytime you submit a paper or a question. So for me, my students who are going to start classes with me on Sunday, this Sunday coming, the max and the top learners, you are in a mock exam as we do our papers. I am assessing you as per CXC's rubric. Why would I wait till March/April next year to then assess you? That's not helping you at all. And I do think that the schools that deliver top results, they have that mindset. All right. So once we leave that English A paper one, now this is actually for any of you guys who are here and you guys are private candidates. The very next day on the Wednesday 27th in the afternoon is going to be the paper three for English A and English B. Now, school candidates, let me let you know how blessed you are that you're doing the SBA. I do think the SBA is kind of annoying. Like, it's a bit annoying. However, it's nothing compared to that paper three. I guarantee school candidates, you all can't do it. The vast majority of you guys, without training, cannot do that paper three. There are teachers who think the paper three is like, you know, easy. I think they think the paper three is a paper two. I will let you know that the paper three exam for English, it's like a literature paper, but not a literature paper. It does actually mimic the SBA, but probably not necessarily in the way you think it would mimic the SBA. So it's normally a paper I would have to train my learners for specifically because I think I've figured it out, right? It's comprehension on steroids. Comprehension on steroids. That's exactly what it is, right? So we'll move on from that. If I do get any private candidates, I'd have to see. I actually might just do a session on YouTube. I do love prepping for this paper. I do know how frustrating that paper three is. So, school candidates, you guys are very lucky. Um, Thursday, 28th May is going to be maths paper one. So, I would say you also have a healthy breather between maths paper one. It's in the morning. There's nothing coded for the afternoon. Excuse guys, just a second. I remembered my water this time. All right. So that day, it's just the maths paper one, and it's in the morning. And, there's a whole empty block in the afternoon. So I kept thinking that, they could have just done the paper one in the afternoon one. Just a thought. Or, I don't know, maybe they could have moved another paper then, but I'll stop. Maybe after maths, as I think about it, maths is so crazy and stressful for a lot of people. And just talking about it being a hard subject is creating stress and anxiety. So start framing it more positively, right, students? Maybe you do need that extra block after that free time after the paper one to just be grateful that maths is done. Or to study for the exams the next day because the following day is physics paper three, IT paper one, single award integrated science paper one, French paper one. So there's that as well. Um, and then when we're done with maths, so again, there are subjects in between. I'm not discussing them. You can see the details when you download this. English B paper one is on the 8th of June, and that's a 2 hour paper, y'all. And that's going to be in the morning of Monday, 8th June. And students who are doing English B, you guys are waiting till almost the end because the exam ends on Tuesdays, 9th of June, right? So the entire exam season is going to end Tuesday, 9th of June, which is kind of nice. It's like most of the exams are packed into May, so you're not going too much into June, just like a week, a little over a week into June. And you guys will be done. Done, 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 done. Totally done. Um, Something that I often encourage students to do when they're prepping for exams is I do say build a timetable. So again, if it's not going to cause you an undue amount of anxiety, it'll be a great idea to either download a countdown app or uh, download some sort of or plug this into your Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar. Sorry guys, I like that. Or find some sort of app where you can really plug it in and start thinking about how do I prepare for this exam. All right. I often say this thing, don't just wait on your school. All right. Some schools do not play, and some schools they only know how to play. All right. You want to make sure that you are not playing. And I always say, although I do give lessons, I do not think you have to take lessons. It really just depends on what you need and how much you need. Some of the information I give is enough, just enough that you could just figure it out. And that's going to be good. But if it is you think that, I definitely need everything. I need somebody to check my work. I have no help. Then that's a different scenario. And maybe you do need some assistance. I'm just gonna take a look at the chat quickly. Let me see. Squish VR said, "Wow, you're smart. Wow, am I smart? I think I just think a lot and I'm highly analytical. Um, I I would say a degree does not indicate intelligence. I would say a degree should ideally indicate that you have a level of understanding. And it's definitely a sign of achievement and a sign of ambition. Definitely. Hi, I actually just finished exams and a lot of help due to you. Oh gosh, Laripa. I'm glad I was able to help. The purpose of this channel is to give and deliver freemium assistance, right? And I say freemium because exactly what I talk about here, I talk about in my sessions with all my solo learners, my group learners, top and max that are starting. It's the same thing. The difference is I have more time to go more in depth, and I do feedback like crazy. If you've never heard me say it, feedback is king, right? So you don't want to play. You don't want to play with getting feedback on your work for subjects like English and Spanish, even. Those are subjects where it's really, really hard to find a context in which students are given detailed feedback or love notes. I call feedback love notes. I write my love notes. I put my little smiley faces. I put my, my side eyes on my students' work digitally. I try to do that digitally as well, because you need to know what are you good at and what you have to work on, right? And feedback shouldn't be a condemnation. It should ideally be, hey, what do I need to improve today? So I'll give you an example using myself. The first time I encountered feedback in a really positive light was when I was in university. As a humanities student, way too many mandatory courses I had to do. And one of them, they're all writing courses. And the very first one that we have in year one, I didn't pass it at all. I was shocked because, I passed English A. I'm a reader. What did I do wrong? And the lecturer we had at the time, she explained, she's like, oh, your writing is way too verbose. It's like, oh, what do you mean? I use too many big words. Yes, using big words can be a problem because I used it in the wrong time. I kept using big words for everything, right? And then I wouldn't be able to communicate my intent. And then using big words depends on a context, right? So I'll give you an example that's very CSEC based. Argumentative, hit them with those big words. Argumentative sounds much more impressive most of the time, when you can use words that are a lot more lexically dense or impressive, right? More impressive. Um, However, when you're writing a short story, which tends to be more emotional, interrupting your story with a lot of quote unquote big words, sometimes it really does just detract from the story, right? You can use more emotional words. You're not looking to impress me with the fact that, you know what viridescent means. Viridescent might work in your short story, depending when you use it. But you can't bombard me with a lot of large words in a short story. It doesn't always work, right? And I'm still saying always because I want you to understand there's a margin of error. Please understand I'm giving general advice, not specific advice. When I look at work specifically, I can then advise, hey, is this happening or is that happening? So I'll give you some examples from previous learners. I had an This is something interesting I've seen. Like I had a learner, he would write his I have seen this a few times. Write an argumentative like a story because you want to be persuasive and not argumentative. Doesn't work. But then when you're writing your story, it's stiff. It's like there was once a day, and on the day there was a man, and the man entered the room and he left the room. So I know I'm sounding very boring, but then it gets so informational that I don't have a story. Stories are emotional, by the way, right? If you didn't know that, they're emotional. Whether it's a horror, whether if it's a romance, whether it's a sci-fi fantasy, there is an element of emotion in all of those genres. It's just different types of emotion. All right, horror scare me to death, right? Not literally, metaphorically, but I need to be scared. I need to be terrified. I don't know if you're going to when you open that door, if there's going to be um the serial killer, right? Versus the romance. I don't know if when I open the door, if I'd see, the crush on the other side, right? Two totally different types of fear, right? But that emotion is what makes the genre, right? So you don't want to mix it up. And, that was my diversion. I divert in all of these sessions because I love ensuring that learners really get information and they're aware of everything, right? So, if you were among those who wrote this year and you're really happy with your results, you're really pleased, congratulations. Yay. If it is you wrote this year and you are preparing to enter camp, um, next week Monday, episode 4, my life is gonna center around you guys. I'm gonna give you some advice for CAPE, but in particular, I'm gonna talk about CAPE communication studies. That's a mandatory subject. Um, I'll save my comments for that particular episode. I would say that you need to be very mindful of that subject. It's a subject that could make you lose your mind, and it should not make you lose your mind, but it could make you lose your mind. All right. So, all you wonderful learners, thank you so much for tuning in this particular episode. Again, I am so glad I was able to give you this information. Please do stay subscribed to CSBS Learning for more freemium content. If it is you want to get more information on how to join my classes for English A, only English A right now. Sorry, Spanish students. Sorry, but only English A for now. Those classes will begin on Sunday, 7th September, and we're going all the way to the exam all the way to April now. I actually just restructured everything, so you will see the updates soon on the channel. Of course, if you need to contact me, you can contact me via CSB in Success. That's where you find me on Facebook or Instagram. Send me a message. If you have any questions or comments, comment on the video below. And I will leave you with these words that I think are a wonderful mantra for anyone who is insistent on achieving goals in life. And as I am succeeding, I am successful. I know myself. I love myself. Guys, have a great night and take care.